What if the questions that feel intimidating to you are actually the same questions almost every homeschool mom asks? Today, I'm answering the most common homeschool questions I hear again and again. And I'll share a couple stories from my own homeschooling journey to remind you that you're not alone. Hey, homeschool mom. I'm Erica Sagert on the Intentional Homeschooler Podcast with more actionable steps and encouragement for your homeschooling journey so you can confidently and intentionally homeschool your children without sacrificing your sanity. Grab a pen and paper, your favorite cup of brew, and let's get started. If you're anything like the moms I talk to every single week, whether you're brand new, 5 years in, or somewhere in the messy middle, you probably have some lingering questions. I've heard them all. I've asked many of them myself, and today I'm going to walk you through clear, grace-filled answers so you can homeschool with confidence and intention. So the first question I'm going to tackle today is, how do I know what to teach at each grade level? This is the number one question. So when I first started homeschooling my oldest, I bought all the curriculum all at once because I didn't want to miss anything. I still remember sitting on the floor surrounded by stacks of books thinking, what if I skip something essential? What if I get behind? What if I miss something? But here's what I learned. Your kids don't need everything. They need the right things. Over time, I ended up using maybe a third of what I bought that first year. The truth. Start with the core 4: Bible, math, reading, writing. Those are the core. They are the most important, especially in the beginning. And everything else can be layered in slowly. You're building a person. You're not matching a school checklist. So start with the 4 core and also look at your child and see where their weak spots are once you start working with them, and focus on those things, especially in the beginning, because we want to build that strong foundation. All right, question number 2. How do I choose the right curriculum? Well, first of all, moms, I want you to remember that there is no perfect curriculum. And there are so many curriculum options out there, which is awesome. But the problem is it can get really confusing when there are so many curriculums to choose from. So definitely seek the advice of someone else, another mom or something, read some reviews online and think and see what people like about the curriculum and maybe what they don't like. And just by those reviews, it will help you to know if it's a good choice for your family or not. But there were times when I bought curriculum because everyone raved about it and it came, with everything that it said it would, but it was not a fit for us. And so you get a few weeks in and you're like, this is not working for us. So it is important to switch if you need to, or just to pare back the curriculum. You never have to use every single thing that is in a curriculum. I know that feels comfortable because then you're checking all the boxes, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, but you can pick and choose, especially not so much for the core. So math and, reading instruction, you're not going to want to be picking and choosing. You're going to want to be covering all of the stuff. But within reason, you can pick and choose a curriculum and not feel like you have to use every single thing that's in the curriculum. Curriculum is a tool. It's not a measuring stick of your success, and it's not marching orders that you have to follow exactly to the T. So definitely study your kids, think about your learning style, your child's learning style, read reviews and test some out, and be willing to flex when you need to. Okay, question number 3, another big one. What about socialization? So every homeschool mom hears this. It's just the general question that everybody thinks about. But kids do not need a classroom of 30 same age peers to be socialized. They need real, healthy interactions with people of all ages. This can happen at your church, at a learning center like Hope Learning Center. It can happen in homeschool co-ops, sports, volunteering opportunities, your neighbors, cousins, family, you name it. It's actually richer for your children as homeschoolers because they are exposed to multiple ages all of the time, not just a classroom of all of the same aged kids. Homeschoolers often become more confident because they learn how to communicate across the ages. All right, question number 4. How much time should homeschooling take? Well, for younger children, it should usually be about 1.5 to 3 hours per day. And then older kids, it's going to be more like 4 to 6 or 7 hours per day up in the high school range. So when they're younger, it's not as much time. And quite frankly, a lot of other things that you do during the day are also learning opportunities, housework, cooking, cleaning, playing outside, all of that kind of thing. But your sit down time for younger kids is about 1.5 to 3 hours. And then as they get older, it's going to be more like 4 to 7 hours a day. So homeschooling is very efficient because you're not stuck in crowd control or transitions, right? You're in your home. You will start to have transitions if you do some outside activities, co-ops, learning centers, things like that. But there just definitely isn't as much crowd control and transitions as you have in a traditional school. So most of the time you're going to be able to get it done more quickly than if your child was attending a traditional school. Question number 5. What about high school? Am I really qualified? I would say yes, you are more qualified than you think. I remember when my oldest started high school, I remember just kind of having that moment of, oh no, this is more difficult. But you know what? In some ways, high school is, dare I say, simpler. As far as the requirements for high school are clearly laid out by state. So you check out your state's requirements for high school, and it's very clear what the hours requirement is and what credits they need. And I definitely want to pause here for a moment with high school and encourage you to consider whether or not you want to provide your child with an accredited transcript and diploma or not. I highly recommend it. At Hope Learning Center, we work with Academy Northwest, which is a private school in the state of Washington, where we can help you give your child an accredited transcript and diploma. I would say to do that, or at the very least, a GED upon graduation so that they have that in place. Some organizations, some employers, some trade schools and colleges will require that. So it's good to do it right away when the information is fresh in their minds. So I have personally seen all 4 of my own children graduate from my homeschool with an accredited transcript and diploma. And I'm so glad we did it that way because I've left doors open for them. And book a free coffee chat with me if you want to know more about accrediting your high school student's diploma. It is doable for homeschoolers. You can independently homeschool while earning that accredited diploma. But again, at the very least, for high school, I recommend you having your child take that GED test upon graduation. So number 6, how do I know my kids are on track? Well, you look to see that they are progressing. Of course, not perfectly, but steadily. I hear so many people say, oh, I'm behind. I didn't cover everything. All right, well, let's look at your children. Are they progressing Are they moving forward? Then let's not talk about being behind. Let's focus on getting them to progress, getting them to grow from where they are. So there are some markers that you can look at to see if your children are progressing and are on track. So can they explain what they're learning? Are the skills that they are learning sticking? Like, can they really recall those multiplication facts? Are they able to decode those words when you're teaching them how to read? Another way to watch to see if you are on track is to make sure that you are teaching consistently. So keep good records. Write down when you're actually working, and then you can look back and see what you've done. And then you want to look for growth over time. So are they improving on the different subjects? So if you want more reassurance, you can add quarterly check-ins or light benchmarking tests, or take advantage of a program like we offer at Hope Learning Center, where we have teacher oversight, where you can sit down with a teacher and have them look things over with you. But even if you're not able to do an option like that, I would say keep a good journal, keep good records so that you can look back on the time you've spent and the improvements that your child has made. It's really good to keep good data so that you can look back and see over time how much your student has grown. All right, question number 7. What if my kids refuse to cooperate? This is so normal. You're not only their teacher, but you're their mom. And I want to remind you that kids thrive under structure, predictability, and calm authority. So provide a basic rhythm. Have your morning routine, do a learning block, then take a break, do another learning block, then have some outside time, and then come in and finish up those lessons and have a hard stop. You don't need to have a complicated schedule, but it needs to be consistent. And I want to remind you, I want to embolden you, to encourage you that you are the parent, you are the mom, you are the dad, and you need to require that your kids follow through and obey you, okay? Because there's going to be times where they're not going to want to listen. So you need to use some love and logic there, and you need to require that they cooperate with you and that they obey you, okay? And if you're having a really bad day, then you change up the schedule, you do something completely different, and the next day will be a brand new day to get back on that schedule. Question number 8. What if I feel overwhelmed or like I'm failing? Well, I'm here to tell you that every homeschool mom experiences this at one time or another, and it will hit you like a wave. You will just feel this anxiety, this stress, this overwhelm. You'll feel like you're failing, like you're messing your kids up. But overwhelm is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It often means that maybe you need to simplify something. Maybe you need to reset. Maybe you need to look at doing fewer subjects if possible. Use a simpler curriculum. Maybe you need more structure, or maybe you need more rest and more flexibility. Also, I would say to start the morning grounding yourself in your mission, your why, and to ground yourself in the Lord. God equips who he calls. If he's called you to homeschooling, and I believe he has since you're listening to this podcast, he will equip you. Ask him for help. Seek his advice. He will give you wisdom. All right, so I'm just going to wrap it up with a quick review of the different questions that I covered today. So remember that you don't need to teach everything at once. Focus on the core, and you'll let the other stuff fit in. You don't have to teach everything all at once. There is no perfect curriculum. Okay, there's going to be pros and cons about every single curriculum that you find. Socialization is not a problem. Homeschooling takes less time than people imagine. You can do high school. Progress is the goal, not perfection, not completing everything. We want progress. We want forward motion. Structure helps your kids flourish, And overwhelm does not mean failure. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. You are equipped, you are called, and you are more capable than you think. If you are feeling stuck in your homeschooling journey, or you are wanting to begin homeschooling in the first place, I want to invite you to a free personalized planning session with me. There are no strings attached. In this coaching session, we will talk through your biggest obstacles in homeschooling, brainstorm practical solutions together, and we will see whether we'd work well together, whether that's planning your homeschool from scratch or tweaking what you're already doing. You can find the link to my calendar in the show notes. And be sure to follow the Intentional Homeschooler Podcast, where a brand new episode will drop every other Thursday. Until next time, you've got this, Mom.